What is up, y'all? It is your host, Rennie, and you're listening to another episode of the Call Me Crazy podcast.
No, I agree.
I won't do it.
I wouldn't either. Just being away from the city, it's only been a year in October. I would never do that again. Never. Because I'm like, why?
Yeah, also it's just like the convenience. Like, I don't want to go to Target and spend 45 minutes trying to find parking. Like, I cannot preemptively reserve so much time to find parking in life.
Find parking or have like lines that are excessively long, or honestly deal with like, I mean, I feel like I run into some rude people here, but it's not the same. They're just rude. That's literally just how they are. Right. In New York, everyone thinks they're superior, so everyone's rude.
Right.
I literally worked in Manhattan pretty much my whole life. Like, I never worked in the Bronx, or I worked in Brooklyn for a little while, and it was just, I was like, oh my gosh, everyone it was just so entitled. Yeah. They're just mean. Like, they don't think about, maybe you shouldn't be mean to this person today. Maybe this person's having a horrible day, and you're making it worse for no reason. Yeah. You know, like, they don't think about that. You have a little eyelash right here. Oh, wait, I don't want to mess up your makeup.
Oh, no, there's no, it's just all oil on my face.
No, this is oil. I felt the whole morning, I was like,
you can smear it all over.
I love that.
But I did want to start off this podcast because this is heavy on my mind, totally outside of the current series, the process, and, you know, talking about people's process and what they do and how they got there. That's the premise of this current series. But because you are a doula, because you are a mother, and because of what happened to me the other day, I just like have to stress, and I might even cry, I have to stress so much, like, how fleeting life is, and just to cherish your loved ones. I have never been in a situation where I thought my mom was gonna die, and
That's very scary.
Looked like she was gonna die. And just to preface, my mom recently had her first ever peanut allergy attack a couple months ago.
So it's like allergies are just coming up out of nowhere.
Apparently you can grow into even at that age, you can grow into a new allergy. And so she, the other night, Friday night, it's Sunday today, had a drink with rum and Coke. Later finding out, I looked it up, the rum was soaked in toffee and nuts.
Oh, fuck.
So she was going out to dinner, she was itching, and she was like, Rennie, can you look at like my back and my chest? And I thought she was just red because she was itching. I'm like, you're red in the spots that you've been itching. Right, so like I didn't, so I didn't think really anything of it. And she was like, you know, I'm just like itchy, but I feel fine. And I was like, okay, what did you have today? And she was like, nothing. I just had like one cocktail. I'm about to go to dinner. Like and you know, she didn't recall having any nuts during her day. And so she gets to dinner, she sits down, she's like not feeling well, she goes to the bathroom. When she comes back to from the bathroom, she's like, you know, she told the person she was having dinner with, like, I have to go, I'm not feeling good. And so I was picking up Chinese food with my friend, and she called me as I'm like leaving the mall. And she's like, Rennie, I really don't feel good. I'm going home to like stick myself with the EpiPen. I was like, okay.
Because she already kind of felt the allergy vibe.
Yeah, and now this is like 45 minutes to an hour after she first said she was itchy while getting ready.
She consumed it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
She didn't, it wasn't
and it's
around.
Alcohol too. So that's going straight to your bloodstream.
It's to your liver, straight
like,
up.
That's not her first reaction was eating 2 packs of peanuts. Like eating, digesting, like that's a totally different type of allergic reaction.
Yeah, it's literally liquid.
Instantaneous. And then she's saying she didn't really eat much today. Oh my God.
So you're like, okay, great. There's nothing to combat this, right? Right.
So at this point, we didn't know, or we didn't think, because she didn't tell me it was rum, like, and she's usually a vodka girl, so like I didn't think that like what she had in the drink could have had nuts in it. So she's going home. We get home at the same time, and I like see her walking up the stairs. It's crazy because I would have been in Brooklyn had my father not canceled on me. So I'm so glad he did, like he usually does.
He does this.
Yeah. Because I was home. And so she's walking up the stairs, looks fine, like she's walking up normal. And we're like getting the stuff, and we start walking behind her. She's already inside. I walk up the stairs and she's like, Rennie, can you come to my room, please? And the second I went into her room, it looked like she was having a seizure. Like she was shaking and her eyes looked dead, and she was looking up and she was like falling back. If I could, like, seizure or like heroin addict. Like the movements
too
were
much is happening.
The movements were not normal. She wasn't breathing normally, and so I immediately called the ambulance. She couldn't even hold her EpiPen. Like her hands were so weak. Scariest moment of my life was screaming. Thank God Michaela was there, because she was like holding her upright and like rubbing her back and like got her a cold towel. Like I was so freaked out. Like I probably would have made the situation worse alone.
Yeah, because what do you do? Like, that's your mom.
Like
there's some detachment there with Michaela. Not that Michaela doesn't love your
right,
mom or whatever,
exactly.
But there's a more like clarity, because that's not her mom.
Yeah,
you know?
she was like, I had to like take 30 seconds to be like, okay, this is scary, but what can I do right now? And I'm not in that mind. Like I'm just holding my mom's arm, like trying to talk to the first, the responder or whatever. And so, thank God, after like probably 10 to 15 minutes of the scariest like times of my life, the ambulance come, they treat her, and then they bring her to the hospital. Everything is like pretty much standard and normal after that. She got home around like 1:30 in the morning, and she was up and ready to go to work the next day. That's the craziest thing about allergic reactions. Even if you go into anaphylactic shock, like you recover like pretty fast.
Right. Because it's really like your system is triggered, and then it goes away. Yeah, it's gone. Like everything processed, and it's gone. But it's still so scary.
Oh my God! Every time I talk about it, I cry, and I'm like not a big crier, but like. I can't not see it. Like that, her face and her body and her limpness, like I will never not see it. And like I just kept hugging her. Like when I called my grandparents to tell them, I cried on the phone to them. And I was just like, I was like, Mom, you need to go to the allergist. You need to get a therapist.
I need to see all the stuff.
All the ifs. Because I'm not doing this anymore. So you need to go back to the gym. Like,
everything, health needs to be eminent, for real, bruh.
I can't.
For real.
I'm like, I can't. That's like, I'm sure you share this bond with your daughter, and she's so much younger, but like my mom is my best fucking friend. Like she is my best friend. She's my sister. She's also my mom. Like I'm also her mom. Like,
Right.
So I just was... Yeah, if you could have taken away the most important person to me, that would be that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, hug your moms. If you don't live near them, go and see them, call them, your grandparents, whoever you still have in your life, please fucking cherish them. Because I know we get so busy, and I'm one of those people that like, I'm feeling guilty right now about not spending so much time with my younger siblings, and like, it's hard.
I have younger siblings too, and they're from different parents, so it's really hard.
It's hard.
And they're all like different ages, so it's like, I'm a grown woman with my baby and my almost husband, and my brother I get to see because he lives with my mother. Okay. So that one, my daughter gets to see him. But then my sister lives, my brother's, I'm 28, he is 3 years, he's like 26. Okay. Or 25, turning 26. But my sister just turned 15, so she's young. And then I have a brother thanks Dad, a young brother who's my daughter's age. So I'm like, okay, he's kind of like, he doesn't feel like my brother. He feels like my nephew.
Right.
Because he's a baby. So it's hard to like divide that time up, but it's so important.
Because obviously, like, you know, I'm busy as hell, but like everyone also has their own schedules and, you know, their routines and life, but it's really hard to see them. Like I have an 18-year-old brother. I have a 15, almost 16-year-old brother. I'm probably getting ages wrong because thanks, Dad. I have 6 siblings,
That's
right?
a lot.
In varying ages. He has 3 baby mothers. Like, this is all public knowledge.
My dad too has 3 baby mothers, so that's fun.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, coordinating with teenagers and then trying to like coordinate with, you know, I have a 3-year-old sister. No, she just turned 4. Sola just turned 4 in January. But it's she's a baby and it's hard and it's
because
like,
the relationships are all like, it's just different with each one. It's not like you have siblings who are all like 2 years apart. Because then the vibe is pretty much, you know, it can be the same.
Yeah.
Like my sister's just now, like, I'm getting closer with her now because she's turning into a young adult.
And then she like has her own phone.
And she has her own friends, you know, so it's really like, it's challenging, but it's important.
Yeah, so I don't know, where was I even going with that?
You were talking about how you feel guilty.
Oh, scheduling time. Yeah. So like, yes, it is hard, but like, as long as you put forth that effort, like, you know, not to sound morbid, but if anything happens, like, you know, you did the best you could and like you try. But it just makes you, you know, because me and my mom, we have a routine, you know, we both go to work, we both come home. Usually we're not eating dinner together. Usually like one's asleep before the other gets home. And so, you know, I'm glad her birthday is coming up and we already have things scheduled to celebrate that. But like, even if you live with your parents still or siblings and like you just always like miss each other, schedule that time, please.
Yes, that's it. Seriously, like my sister is now becoming a young adult and we know what that means. We know what that means. We know all of what that means and how like hard. It's hard, you know, and like also when they're younger, the responsibility does fall on you because they're younger. They don't got a whip. They can just come drive to you. Right. That's another thing. Like I'm like, all right, for a few years until she's like fully independent, I really got to go the extra mile, even if it's FaceTiming. FaceTiming is important because honestly, we can't always make it. But a FaceTime is cool. You're seeing them. You're talking to them. It's a different vibe than just like a text.
I feel like with teenage boys, that's definitely harder. Like, who wants to FaceTime your sister? Like,
she's cool, but like, yeah, with my sister, it's super easy to FaceTime because she's the vibe.
Exactly.
She's like, all right, so this is happening in school. And like, oh no, you know, like, right, the vibe is there. It is. Yeah, we also just have to be like, I think, authenticity with that is good because at the end of the day, forcing things is also it's not comfortable for either of you. Like, hey, let's hang out, and then you kind of just stay like, it's like off. But yeah, like my little brother, I really don't know him. But it's not that I don't want to know him. It's that he's a kid. He don't even know him. You know, like he's like, I'm just here. I'm chilling. My dad feeds me. I eat, I run, and I play. Like if I'm here trying to form a serious bond, it's like silly. So schedule the time though. Word.
Seriously.
That is important.
Just a precursor to the conversation.
Big precursor. Yes. I'm so glad your mom's okay.
Oh my God,
bless.
same.
Seriously.
Yeah, and she was like putting on, and like we all do. Like I think people underestimate the fact, like when you're an adult, like you still don't want to go to the doctor, but you have to. Like you still don't want to go to the dentist, but like
especially like when you know there's some pre-existing stuff.
Exactly.
Right, because if you're like a healthy person, or like not healthy, that's not the right word, but like if there's no symptoms of whatever. Then maybe you're okay. But like when you know there's something and you're like, anyway, like my mom has a thing with her hands. She thinks it's an autoimmune disease, but basically they start to hurt in the winter. Like it gets cold and now she has pain. It's not arthritis, it's not whatever. So she took so long to go to the doctor. I would have to be on her ass all the time. Mom, just go to the doctor, just check. Like blood, they're gonna take your blood, that's it. Just go. Took forever. But then she finally did it. And honestly, they didn't have an answer, but at least she knows that there's nothing life-threatening going on. She knows. They're like, oh, it's just this thing that happens and it comes and goes. Sometimes you have to turn to natural resources and your own research, but at least you kind of like check the box.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's important to check the box.
That's the thing for my mom. And also me, I don't like getting blood drawn. My mom times 10, right? Like she requests a butterfly needle whenever anything's getting done. Like I personally don't do that.
The smallest one.
And also for her, it's so hard for them to find veins. So even when she was in the hospital the last time, she was like, it took 3 people and about like 10 stabs. And she hates it. Like, so I get it, to an extent, but you have to know.
Especially with allergies, because it's a blood thing. That's why it's important. Yeah, like it's not fun. It's not. I know. Isn't it crazy how like we have to literally be like, we have to suck it up. We have to suck it up sometimes. Yeah. We have to suffer a little.
There's also like another side of that, like the natural route, which, was what you brought up. And it's funny because a couple years ago, I was on farmland in Pennsylvania. I like rented an Airbnb, like a house on a farm. And the farmer, his family and his wife were out of town, and he invited me and my boyfriend at the time, like over, like to his fire to like smoke some reebs. Hello, drink some reebs, smoke some, weed. Right. And he was saying, he was like, my wife and my kids like go out of town, they see family, like her side of the family. My side of the family doesn't really like accept my life and like what I've done with it. He was,
'cause he's a farmer. He said, "I'm living this farmer life."
It's funny.
I love that.
It's funny because I was like, so what type of family doesn't support like a farm, like you're self-sustaining? This is the
life that I want, right?
And he was like, it's funny, like my family is like morbidly obese and like can't walk. So like when they come, they hate it because we're walking everywhere, we're tending to the animals, we're doing work, manual labor, and
that's like, rewarding on top of that, because you literally reap the rewards as a farmer. That's it, you got them. Whatever you want, whatever food, you got that. You got that butter, you got that milk. That's amazing. Isn't it crazy?
Like, it's like the Matrix. He's like, I haven't been off this farm in 10 years. Like, my family leaves and, comes back. But he's like, I haven't seen a dentist. I haven't gone to the doctor. But like, I don't have that lifestyle. I'm still breathing this air. I'm still getting the groceries. Like, I'm still in a tax bracket where like, my dogs have human grade food, but like, I can't chef them up like a steak. And like, on most nights, I can't chef myself up.
Right. No, really, it's like the consequences of your health depend on your environment. 100%. Like, also, like, literally, people who are chronically stressed are chronically sick. You're sick because you're stressed, because stress is illness. Yeah. So it's like, it's so important for us to remember, like, not all of us are going to be able to become this farm guy who obviously has fulfilled his dream, which is amazing, but like, striving towards a life where there's less stress is never the wrong goal. Right. Never. Like, that's health. Less stress is imminently health, which is like...
And wealth.
Who cares? Like, it's not even money. That dude's probably not racking. He's probably just comfortable and so happy and eating his fresh food. Exactly. That's amazing. Yeah, like, I'm definitely the black sheep of my family. For sure. Like, I'm the one who... I recently like went sober, so like I haven't smoked or drank. No shade to people who do. This is just the path I chose as a mom. I became a mom, and I remember I smoked a little maybe when Irie was, before she turned 1. I was still occasionally smoking, and then I realized I was like, this is not working. Because it has a different psychological effect on you when you're a mom. Like I would smoke at night too, but it didn't matter. Like I was like, no, my mind is too focused on motherhood. Like, I can't really turn that off. And that's important to know, is that you can't turn that off. You're a mom. So even when you do drugs for fun, in the back of your head, your main role is she's there. She's like, okay, but just be careful.
Yeah.
But just be careful, all right? Don't do too much. Like, and drinking for me became like, I feel like I was abusing myself, to be quite honest. Like, it just became like this weird, like every time I would drink, ugliness would come out. And I didn't feel like that was normal before. But again, when you become a mom, your responsibility doesn't stop just because the night before you drink, right? So I felt like I was doing myself dirty, and I literally realized it. I would like drink with my man, who's Dominican and grew up drinking. So like for me, my vice was smoking. I enjoyed smoking. I enjoyed relaxation. Him, he grew up drinking. So like for me, quitting smoking was much harder than quitting drinking. But like growing up, he would drink all the time. So it got to a point where like now I'm drinking, and the next day I have the same responsibility. The same. It has not changed. I'm not gonna be able to sleep in and lay in bed and have a small headache or be like sluggish. My daughter does not care about what I did the night before irresponsibly, you know? We don't want to call it that, but it is that. If you are making your life harder, isn't that irresponsible? Yeah. Like, do you deserve that from yourself? You feel me? So it was like, that's what I noticed I was doing. Like, even when it was on occasion, because of course it's on occasion, so I'm really drinking.
Right. And
I'm
not only
really getting lit.
Right. Because it's like, whether you're really drinking or not, personally for me, like the time in between high school and now, like the gap I took from drinking on a regular basis, shorty, I am sauce with 2 cocktails.
Done.
Mixed drinks.
Done.
Mixed
with
drinks.
Juice.
With juice.
There's juice in there.
With literal like milks or like, you know, whatever these
cute
added.
Drink. I'm lit off too. Yeah, me too. 1 glass of wine had me sauced after birth because obviously you go so long without drinking. Now 1 glass of wine is like you're good off that, you know? And it was, just... I realized, I was like, I don't think I want to do this to myself anymore. Like, again, it's not, and it's also a peer pressure thing. I don't think it's correct for people to peer pressure you to drink. People should do whatever they want. Yeah. That's your right. If you want to get lit, please, you know? Like, why not? Don't feel pressured by me saying no either. Like, me saying no has nothing to do with you. The same way you saying yes has nothing to do with me. Right. So it's like...
I feel like people should treat that and, like, veganism the same.
Just... let it be. Right. Yeah.
And like certain friends will be cool with you eating meat in front of them, but certain friends like can't take that in the same way that like certain friends can watch you drink and certain friends can't. Yeah. Or like whatever.
And it's organic sometimes. Like I just suddenly stopped getting invited to things that involve a lot of drinking. I didn't ask for that. It was a respectful thing. I appreciate that because there's no point in me being there. Right. You know, if the situation is quite literally everyone is getting lit, there's like no food. Yeah. Or like there, you know, there's no food.
I'm actually never anywhere with no food. Don't invite me anywhere with no food.
Right. Like I'm like, okay, so there's no food here. The actual objective is to get twisted. I cannot partake. So I appreciate that because that means that someone's respecting my choice. Yeah. It's almost more rude if you're like, yo, come to the bar. Like, wait, dude, I haven't drinking like 8 months. Come on, you know? But yeah, it's true. It's just I've been reading this text that says, do not object, right? Like a person is going to say what they have to say and do what they feel like they have to do. And no matter what you say, it's not like you have the capability of changing a person. Only that person has the capability of changing themselves. So it's like, say the truth. There's no need to judge. Say the truth. Yeah. Say your truth. That's it.
I always say, well, I can only speak from my experience.
I can only speak for myself because that's
and what I would do. Because if you're sitting here asking me, you're asking. Right. But then I just have to remind you that this is what I would do.
Yes, yes.
Doesn't mean that's what you have to do, but since you're asking, this is what I would do, and I can only speak from my experiences and why I would do this way.
Absolutely. And this has a lot to do with birth too. A lot. Because I feel like when you... Unfortunately, we are not at the stage where we plan our babies, right? And I don't think that's a good thing from my experience. And so like when I first got pregnant, right, it was like we were open to it. So it wasn't a plan.
It wasn't like this will destroy us. This is worst case scenario, but it wasn't like...
It was fully like me and Ray were like, yeah. Yeah, it can happen. You know that. So you know it can happen. I know it can. Okay, so it can happen. That was really the scenario. So then when I got pregnant, I realized that wasn't enough. That little like, yeah, we know. Because at the end of the day, you're bringing a person here, right? And as the woman, you are the one bringing the person here. He is there as immovable support. That is his role while you're pregnant. Immovable support. Immovable. It should not be able to be altered, right? Like, if you're with a man who you do not feel like supports you already, then when you are pregnant, what is going to happen? From experience, right? Like, just from knowing women who this has happened to. Support needs your man. If your man is not the mountain, then what is happening when you are having a baby with him? We have to be picky. This is a normal primal thing too. What do you think birds do? Birds be out here like, the men be doing like all these dances. They be like, baby, I got back. I just want you to know. Also, look at my beautiful colors. Let me show you.
Look at what I could give to your kids.
Let me show you why I'm the best choice, right? And it's not that I expect men to be that way, but it literally makes sense how the woman sits there and she's like, yeah, it's not you.
Right, because you're doing all the work.
At the end of the day, the gestation is in you. And it's not that he plays no part. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but it doesn't affect his daily life and daily doings.
Yeah, like he is emotionally affected, but he is not.
Physicality? No.
Or even like spiritually, right? Okay. This is also the difference, right? With the man being the mountain. Like, if the man is the mountain, you are the wind, right? You're going to take him for a ride. You're pregnant. It is not simple, right? So this is why he can't be movable, right? Because he's the mountain. What the wind do to the mountain? Over time.
Not a mountain.
Right, yeah, like the wind is like a tickle. And the mountain's like, all right, I'll slowly bend. But
yeah, like over hundreds of years.
Over hundreds of years. And luckily, we only got like a good solid, maybe 120.
Right.
You know, so it's like.
If we're supreme.
Right. So I'm like, all right. The reason it is so important is because he is supposed to be spiritually engaged. Of course, this is his baby. What you're going through, he should at least try to relate to as much as possible, even though some things are just not possible. Like, it's not possible. He can't relate to there being this in you. Because I saw my baby when he was this. And then suddenly, like, he became like this. And I was like, that's weird. You know? And I was 23. I was pretty young. And I was like, okay, so now he's this suddenly. Then I'm like, okay, so now he has this weird, he looks like a little chicken in there, little pollito vibe. And I'm like, so I got a chicken in my body, right? And it's so beautiful because, I feel like in the society we're in where the woman's spirit and the woman's body is not valued for what it should be, being pregnant can 100% bring you back to, fuck out of here. I'm amazing. There's a thing that I can do that is only granted to the female sex. Simple. It's like, this is divine. This is not some like small thing that happens in your life. This is divine. You're creating something. Scientists cannot create life. A scientist cannot create life. Only a woman and a man can do that. With sperm and an egg, period. Like, they can create synthetic life, but guess what? It's not real. Yeah. It's synthetic. That's why it has a name. So it's so important that, like, as you choose your partner, you know that, like, he is a mountain and you are the wind, and that pregnancy is the beginning of a very big change, and it does not stop. You don't stop changing, because after birth, your child is changing. You can't be the same. If you are not going with the flow of your child, you're going against the flow of your child. And does that make any sense? Like, I took a class on like motherhood, on motherhood and the death of the maiden, because nobody wants to talk about how before you give birth, you're different. Yes, it's beautiful who you are as a maiden, as a woman who has no man, like is not in a serious relationship having a child. That's a beautiful girl. She's amazing. What's wrong with her? Nothing. She served her purpose. She kept you safe. She kept you loving. You had so much fun. Great. But if you do not mourn her, you're going to try and bring her with you into motherhood.
Wow.
But that's not you, right? So this is where we see the flaws in motherhood. And I call them flaws because, like I said, if it goes against the baby, it goes against the mother. You are them, period. That is not a debate. Like, yeah, no, they're separate. Incorrect. Ask science. If you're really, like, some people really care about science. Ask science. That's wrong. That baby is made up of you and your man. That's it, period. It's not a debate, right? So when you see mothers who are still trying to like have a baby and no shade, because this was me. So this is again speaking from my own experience, right?
Yeah.
This was me. I had a baby. I did not know how to bury the woman I was, right? I still felt like I was her. I still felt so attached to her emotionally. Like, I love her. Why does she have to go anywhere, right?
Right. I'm still me.
Right,
like,
right.
I should still be able to do the things that I did before I was a mom.
Right. And it feels like that.
Yeah.
It feels like that. And then it gets to a point where you, like me, smoking or like going out occasionally drinking, those were just signs. Those were just my body telling me like, okay, this is what you used to do, but this isn't working. So why are you causing yourself suffering? Like, so you're going to go out and drink. And then the next day, you know you have to take care of your baby. And then you're going to get upset at your baby for being your baby, being regular, asking for regular things that they always need. Food, consistently, water, attention, connection, routine. You can't be mad at your baby for being the same when you're the one who made a decision, who altered your capability of being the best mom you can be that day. We're not going to be the best mom we can be every day, but sometimes it's in our power to choose that. You know, like when we bleed. Sis, when I wake up and I bleed, I look at my daughter, I'm like, hey, I'm bleeding today. Meaning, mommy is not going outside. Mommy is not doing anything extra today. Mommy's going to sit with you and we're going to connect. But mommy can't carry you all day, you know, like I try to make sure she understands that this is a period of rest, right? So you are still being the best mom you can be because you're honoring yourself when you need rest, right? But now when you're trudging yourself through the mud, doing things that don't coexist with motherhood, whose fault is that, you know? Like, bleeding is divine. We do that. I have no choice. I have no choice. But now when you're, and it doesn't even have to be drinking. It can be quite literally anything. Like, I decided I wouldn't go back to work. I am gifted enough to have a man who makes enough money so that I'm able to stay home with my daughter and not go back to work, right? Some women go back to work anyway, even though they have that gift, right? Because that's a gift.
A luxury.
In the United States, that's a gift. This is not Europe.
Even just in Connecticut,
right, that's a gift, right? It's like
luxurious,
right? And he was with me for, like, he stood home with me with Irie for a year and a half. I had a year and a half of him,
and that's a blessing from his job and his career.
Oh no, this was shade, but this was him. He got 2 weeks from his job. That's what men get, 2 weeks, because their role is not significant apparently.
Right.
But luckily, this was during COVID, so he got sick many times, so many times. Had to stay home so many times because all the times he got sick. And
COVID was just hugging Ray.
It was hugging him and it wouldn't let him go. And also, he took all his vacation time and was like, I want it now. Yeah. I'm with my baby, you know? But that was like, my choice to stay home, it's a sacrifice, is it not? Like, I love it. I love being home with my baby all the time. I love being able, I'm the one who's connecting to her. I'm the one who's teaching her things, not a stranger or even another family member. Because at the end of the day, this is your baby. If you want connection with your baby, you have to be with your baby. How else are you going to get it? Some women literally have the option. I'm only speaking about women who have the option that either them or their man makes a lot of money, but they still want to go back to work because they still want to identify with their old life. You can't, or you shouldn't. You could, but it comes at a price, right?
It's going against nature's process.
Comes at a price. It comes at a price. Like people who hire nannies, right? Thank God for the nanny. Thank God, because they do a big ass job. Taking care of a child, easily a 12-hour shift. If that's how you want to see it, like in hours of work, 12 hours, easily. But they do an amazing job. They do a big job. And it's not shocking that the kid is very connected to the person who is taking care of them all the time. That's not shocking, you know? And that's why it's important to remember that we don't have to do what the government says. We don't have to. Who said? Like, you don't have to go back to work. Why? Why do you want to go back to work? Really reflect and ask yourself, is it because you feel like it's uncomfortable for your man to be supporting you? Because I felt that 100%. I remember being like, that's
like, I don't have my own money.
I don't have my own money. That's weird. I'm not being an independent woman. That's weird.
Yeah.
And it fully was weird. This is the thing. Many egos die because when you choose to let them go, you feel so much freer. Like, I remember being like, telling him, like, this is very weird for me. This is very weird to be home all the time. And like I'm a busy person. I'm a busybody. I like to do things. And it was very weird. But you get used to it because it is a sacrifice. I am okay with sacrificing not working to be with my child. I'm okay with sacrificing that maybe we can't have as many material things for a period of time. I'm okay with that. That's the thing. You're either okay with it or you're not. But it has to be reflected on. And in motherhood, all you have to do all the time, I feel like it's like the homework of a mom, reflect. Reflect on why you yelled at your kid that day or you lost your shit. Reflect on why that bothered you, because your kid is just a reflection.
This is crazy, and I don't mean to turn it on me.
No, but do, because you are a woman and you also have a mother, so I'm sure it applies.
Not even to my mother, but to my dogs. So when I was in my previous relationship, which is the person I got my second dog with, I remember both of us like popping the dogs. Like that was just a normal thing. If the dog did something bad, you pop him. Like him harder than me.
He's a man, so
yeah.
But yeah.
No, like excessively. Like there was a time where, I mean, he beat up on all of us, right? So like there was a time where Bo was a baby, he had an accident and he took him into the bathroom and he beat him with an empty Frosted Flakes box so hard that there was blue on my wall, right? So he was excessive. Me, I just always grew up like if the dog did something bad,
pop him.
like, so.
Me too, though. So
yeah,
I can relate.
Pop the dog, pop the baby.
Pop that. Everyone gets popped in my house. Period. Everyone got popped. It's like Papa was a thing.
You an adult, and I'm your mother. You get
you
popped.
still could get popped as a grown woman. Oh my God. How ridiculous is that?
So that was just normal. That was just a thing. Exiting that relationship, I can't even look at my dog and pop them. Like I can't, like if they make a mess, I'm like, that's because we didn't go to the park and I just let them out in the yard.
Right.
Mad at myself. I know.
And just understanding, right? Like you got to a point where you literally were like, can I be mad at that? No. When I know that was coming.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know it's coming.
Like this was too short of a walk.
They have excessive energy. Yeah, they have energy that needs to be let out. It's like a kid, dude. I just saw this. One of my friends, her name is Sophia. She's like one of my doula friends. She was literally like, and it's not her quote, but we kind of are like in the same vibe with this, which is like, your kids need to be outside, dude. Your kids need to be outside. Home is not outside. Home does not teach them the same things that outside teaches them. And if your kids are bouncing off the walls, remove the walls and take your kids outside. That's what they need. Because literally a kid could have an immense amount of energy at home, right? Once they're outside though, suddenly like it goes into like curiosity. They're outside, they're touching things. My daughter, I don't know, my daughter is pretty gentle I know other people have different vibes of kids. My daughter's a Capricorn, bro. She be chilling, for the most part. Needy, but chilling. She be chilling. And when we go outside, it's not running. It's not like rampant. It's just really enjoying the environment. Like just being like, oh, wow. Like I'm outside. There's trees here. There's rocks. I'm going to pick these rocks up and these acorns and these sticks. And I'm going to just chill. And it's the same with the dog. Dogs are sometimes they just want to be outside.
But again, and I feel like we talk about this in our personal conversations all the time, there's so many factors.
Right.
So if homeboy's eating Pop-Tarts every morning in the house, milk, from the cow, all that sugar, and then with the pop tizzy, like the kid's gonna be going crazy.
Really?
If the dogs are eating damn near cardboard kibble, like they're gonna be anxious. I met someone at the dog park the other day whose dog's on Xanax. I said, why?
Oh my gosh.
Then there's times in life where you're just like, I'm not gonna get through to this person, so let me save my energy, let me open my book and pray for that dog.
Period.
That was one of those moments where, like, if you go so far as to give your dog Xanax, my conversation with you this morning will not help you. It's definitely not helping me. So I just let it be.
It's stressing me.
Yeah,
it's giving me heart palpitations.
And I just thought and I was like, do you not think to address like 10 more things before skipping to Xanax? Like, do you live in an apartment building? Are you gone all the time? Like, are you I don't want to be a dick, but anyone with a 9 to 5, you should not have a dog, and you should not have a child.
And if you're not willing to give that 9 to 5 up, exactly. If you thought that about a dog, what makes your child any different? Because you can hire a babysitter, bruh. You be trusting these babysitters?
Listen, I was the nanny. I was the 15 to 18-year-old nanny. And I kid you not, in this area, it's so crazy to me. These people would find me from the nannying service that I worked for. There would be an emailed list of families that we could choose from the day. Whoever emailed faster got the family that they wanted.
Oh my
And you might have been meeting that family for the first time that day. You might have been back, and that's how you know you want that family. You want a nanny for them that day. But they get some sort of resume. You had to pay for a background check, so they get a background check. But these,
as if everyone gets in trouble for their psychosis.
Right.
That's hilarious.
So these families, these white families, would quite literally side hug Noogie or like just bye Johnny these kids after meeting me in 5 minutes. No, like not saying this is in my character, but I could have chopped up your kids that night. You're paying me $15 an hour?
It's ridiculous.
Like, you were gonna leave the thing you carried, or if you didn't, the thing you got a surrogate for, or if you didn't, the thing that you paid thousands upon thousands of dollars for IVF for. You're gonna leave that
with a
random person at $15 measly an hour.
At $15 an hour, and they be so little.
And the person is under 21 years old, sometimes under the age of 18.
No.
And it's the people with the most money in this county that do those things.
This is what I'm saying. Like, the disconnect.
I think it was
scary.
one family between ages 15 and 18 that I nannied for that was black, and the husband was white.
That's the tea right there.
That's the tea. Not saying that sticking the child with grandma or whoever is. I think it's a little bit better, but not saying it's the superior decision.
No.
But people of culture just don't do that. Like, it doesn't compute in my mind, because no one takes care of my dogs besides my mom and my dog trainer during the day.
Right.
I will never board my dog with my dog trainer, not because I don't trust. I trust him. There was like 3 weeks where they were training with him and getting used to him, and Bo would still like make me walk him to the bus. Now Bo, my baby, my mama's boy, runs to the bus.
Right.
So after those few couple of weeks, I was like, okay, cool. Now I know. Sasha, she a diva. She don't want to go nowhere, anywhere, anytime. So when I saw Bo starting to run onto a bus that's putting him in a crate, he's never in a crate, he hates crates, I was like, okay,
so he's
good.
Enjoying himself, right.
But my babies cannot sleep in a crate. They cannot be boarded. No. So if mom isn't an option because I'm going away with mom, I'll have like a very close friend take care of them with me. And throughout that whole time, I know they're not going to be given the care, even with my mom, that I would give them. They're not going to the park for an hour, at least an hour every day.
Right.
They're being walked for maybe like until they poop and pee. Like that is like bare minimum. And I just have to grin and like bite the bullet and just be like, okay, there's so many dogs who get so much worse, so like they can deal with this for a couple days, but it hurts.
Dude, like, so we recently talked to Ray's, probably his mom recently, and she was basically saying, you know, how like financially things would be easier if I worked. She wasn't saying this to be rude. She was just like, it was an observation. And then in the same moment, because she's an older woman, she's like in her 70s, and she was like, but at the same time, then you have to worry about the babysitter. And she was like, and then you have to pay the babysitter. If you pay in the babysitter what you would be making, whether you're part-time or you're working, because honestly, 8 hours a day, I'm not gonna pay a babysitter garbage. Right. I'm not gonna pay a babysitter garbage. That's my baby. I will pay you the amount that makes you feel very fucking comfortable to watch the gold of my life. Yeah. Like, that's the gold. She's right there. That's my life. So like, I will pay you well. If I'm paying you well, you taking all my money, which is not a bad thing. But it's like, what is the point then? Yeah. To work to pay the babysitter so you can get it back in tax season, it's the same shit. You're still paying the babysitter but all you're making. At least one parent, their check is going to the babysitter.
But for some people, it feeds the ego that needs to be that certain person and version.
Sis, the disconnect is scary. You're doing yourself an injustice as a mom to leave your child. So some people leave their children. Some people don't have a choice. I'm not talking about these people. Some people who do have a choice leave their child at 3 months. I literally looked up a picture of my daughter the other day at 3 months. She couldn't even lift her head up. She cannot lift her own head, bro. She was cooing, just like sounds, looking around, has no idea where she's at. Like, you know, like fully incapable of, and like, that's why my mom, bless her, because she's been helping me watch my daughter quite literally the week that my daughter came home from the NICU. Every weekend. Until my daughter was like 6 months. She had my daughter every weekend. As a baby, right? This is where the village comes into play, because literally it takes a village. That is not a saying, it is a fact. Your child needs to be raised by more than one woman, right? Because she needs to learn nurturing, or he needs to learn nurturing from more than one woman or more than one man. It can't just be y'all. You and your man, that's it. Okay, you're gonna be literally burnt out, like literally like a popped light bulb, right? Like just full of resentment and exhaustion. Right, like it's just so important. The process into being pregnant, choosing the partner, these are all so important, because I became a doula after I lost my first baby. Because, so when I first got pregnant, I was here's the tea. I was working full time, sometimes an extra day for money, right? Because I want money for my baby, blah, blah, right? Whatever. These are the reasons, right? I was working like 6 days a week, even though my man was like, you're bugging. You don't need to do that. But I said, no, I want to. So I was working in Manhattan 6 days a week, pregnant AF, right? And I was planning a home birth. I was planning to give birth at home. And I hired a doula within like 3 months of being pregnant. I had both on deck. I was not playing because I don't trust the hospital. That's just a fact. With birth. That's what I'm gonna say. I don't trust the hospital with birth, right? So I was planning a home birth. Everything was cool. Like, I was pregnant. I found out it was a boy. I was a little disappointed. So I get y'all women who, I get it because you create an illusion in your head that you know what's in there. That's the problem. You had an illusion, and reality said, that is an illusion. That's not what's in there. I'm like, whatever. It lasted like a day. Then I fell in love with the fact that I was like a boy mom, whatever, right? So then at like 8 months, but I was really working my ass off. I was working so hard. I was eating like shit, because that's what happens when you work in the city and you're not preparing your own meals and you're spending money on bullshit, right?
Even if it's salads, it's still like...
And that's the thing. I was primarily vegan at that point, and I would... This is what I'm talking about. You need to know that your body is going to tell you what you need when you're pregnant. Don't tell yourself what you need. Listen to what you want. Literally, like, cravings in pregnancy are not a fucking myth. I remember I was vegan, and I would literally be like, I need fish, meat, beef, chicken. I need everything, milk. Literally vegan. And I craved those things. Like, meanwhile, like...
Beforehand, did you?
Not
Curious.
really. No,
okay.
Not really. Because I was vegan, even though I was being silly and eating like the garbage beyond.
Good morning.
Yeah, like the bad, the
morning
bad,
start, yeah.
the bad soy shit. That obviously, it's not that soy is bad. It's that anything processed is bad. It doesn't matter what it is.
Exactly.
McDonald's is processed. You feel me? Like, it's very simple.
If you look at the back of those labels, it's not just soy.
Right.
It's like a whole bunch of
like
things that you can't pronounce.
things that pretended to be a burger.
Right.
And you're like, okay, cool. So my midwife was kind of like, I loved her, by the way. She was... A midwife appointment is so fun. I literally went to her place, which she had like a clinic vibe, but it was like we sat on a couch for an hour. We sat on a couch, we talked, she asked me questions. Then at the end, she would check heartbeat, check baby's position, whatever, and then that would be it. And then she's like, okay, love, see you next month. And I was like, I love this. When you go to a hospital appointment, it's like, oh yeah, your baby's good, look at your baby's heartbeat, you see the, yeah, okay, all right, cool, all right, bye. That's literally how fast it is. No joke.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, like,
how are you feeling?
Nothing.
Hello?
Like, okay, here's baby. Look at your baby. Okay, done. Print you some little sonograms so you can be hype and then leave. Like, that's it. And they're rough. Like, yo, you're so tender. Like, especially, honestly, I feel like women with like solid core, like women, I had a solid core because I always did yoga. So it really hurt my skin to stretch.
Yeah.
My body had never done that before. So I was like, ow, have all these weird pains. She's like, yeah, you'll be fine anyway. Had crazy morning sickness. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm like, but I feel like I'm dying. She's like, yeah. Anyway, so next week, I'm like, oh, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And it's no wonder why women literally get disconnected from their pregnancies. Like, of course you're disconnected. You're not being treated well at all. You're going to these people who treat you like a number instead of like a person. And then when I found my midwife, I was like, oh God, yes.
So you transitioned. So you were going the normal route.
I did it for probably 3 months until I solidified my midwife and my doula. Once I solidified that, I was like, bye. Because I would go there and I would leave feeling so like I wasn't able to ask questions. Like I wasn't able to, I don't understand.
You had no
what's going
voice.
on. I've never been pregnant. There's so many questions. Like midwives recommend books. They recommend, they literally recommend like a childbirth ed class. They're like, you've never given birth. Why wouldn't you take a child? Like literally to them, it's like common sense.
Yeah, like if you've never driven, you're going to go to the driving school.
Right, you've never given birth. You and your man have no idea what to expect.
Right.
Because the more you know, knowledge is quite literally power. So once I transitioned and I started to know more and more and more, it was amazing. I was like, this is what I need. And then I'll have meetings with my doula, and my doula would show me and my man exercises to help me during labor. That would help discomfort, because I fully planned to give birth in a tub of water in my apartment. That was the plan. But then at 8 months, I didn't feel him moving, and he was like, I don't know about everybody, but I feel like boys move a lot. Like he would kick me so hard sometimes where I'm like, yo, that was rude, dude. Like literally like into, because you're very emotional.
Yeah.
A lot of hormones. I'm on the train like, how can you do that? And there's nobody around. It's just me talking to my baby. I'm like, yo,
as you should.
My rib, girl. Like, come on. But yeah, so then at 8 months, I stopped feeling so much movement, and that's not supposed to happen. Like, every baby has their own kind of like schedule. Like some babies move a lot at night. Some babies move a lot during the day. So
How long, did you know within the day? You were like...
No, that was the thing. The day that he really stopped moving, I was out doing like my taxes or something. So I was preoccupied mentally. So I was like, oh, I'm probably just missing his movement because I'm out. So then the next day I went to work and I was like, I was not feeling him still. And then so I texted my doula and I told her, and I was like, she was like, call Noonie, which was my midwife at the time. And I was early. I was only 8 months. And that's the thing. When you're planning for a home birth, you're really planning to hit 10 months. Like you're not forcing anything. This is natural. Your baby's gonna come when your baby's really ready.
Right.
Not when a doctor says they're ready. Not when you decide to swallow some castor oil or drink some okra water and put yourself into labor. Because any time, it doesn't matter if the tactic is natural, you can be putting yourself through more suffering for no reason because you're forcing it.
Yeah,
it's different when you feel some stuff going on and maybe you want to give it a little kick because stuff is already happening. If nothing is happening,
but you're stuck on this date,
but you want your baby at this time, you are doing yourself a great disservice. It's not smart.
You called Noonie.
Yeah, so I called her. And I was at 8 months again, and she always let me know when she was going away. She would email me that she was away. And there's always like a midwife who was taking up her clients just in case. So she calls me. I call her and I'm like, hey, I feel like baby's not moving. I don't know if and it's funny because I kind of went into that very like, oh, she's going to reassure me that I'm bugging. But that's the thing, when you have the truth, right? It's not so simple. It's not so like, it's not what you want. It's the truth. So she literally was like, there was urgency in the way she was talking to me. And it wasn't like, your baby's dead. It was like, do me a favor, hang up on me, call Shauna. And I had met Shauna before. And she was like, hang up, call Shauna, and do what she tells you. I'm like, okay. That was it, because she was traveling. But that's the thing. I had a relationship with her. Yeah. Like, I love her. I literally love this woman, right? So I already know what's up.
The tone in her voice.
The tone, right. There was like
the verbiage.
Right. So then I called Shauna, and Shauna was like, do me a favor. Go drink, like, get something sweet, like orange juice or whatever. Then go and lay down on your side and see if you feel him moving. Lay down for 10 minutes. So I'm at work and this is happening, and luckily it's a Sunday, so Sundays were usually like chill, and all my coworkers there who I loved them so much, like it was like it was probably like 4 or 5 of them were there, and I fucking loved them, and they were amazing, and I told them, and immediately they were like, do please, because like what I was doing was they would have to skip me so other people would do more of it. That's the kind of job I had. Yeah. Like I used to scan teeth for like aligners. Okay. So, and it's a lot of work. And
so there was like,
exactly
cycle of people who was like, or your next step.
And if I'm not doing it, they're doing more work, but they were so sweet and they did not give a shit. So they were like, this is silly that you're even explaining this to us, please go. And we're like, okay. So I waited and I didn't feel anything. And I lay down literally on the floor in the back room, and I didn't feel anything. So then I text Shauna, and she told me to go to. So midwives are always associated with midwifery-friendly hospitals because they know that you obviously wanted a home birth, right?
Right.
So they're not going to send you somewhere that is dominated by a male, like egocentrism, like that they know better and they're male doctors and there's no midwives. Like that wasn't where she was going to send me to. So she sent me to a place. There was lots of midwives there and they were very sweet. But this is one of the reasons why hospitals fucking suck, right? Because they gave me a sonogram. They gave me a sonogram, started feeling me. And they already knew I was there, and they knew I was stressed because she calls too. That's another thing. You're just so taken care of every step. Like I didn't have to explain anything. Right. I got there, they knew what was up, they took me in, right? And they give me a sonogram, and this woman puts because you know your baby too. Like when you're being seen by a midwife, I knew exactly what position he was in. He was head down. His head was here. His feet were up here. So they're giving me a sonogram, and they put it here, and I know he's not there. I'm like, there's no way he moved that much. He's huge. He was gigantic. My man is huge. He was gonna be a big boy. So they check here, and they're like, oh yeah, we have a heartbeat, so you're good, don't worry. And it did not do anything to hear that. I was like, that doesn't make sense. I was like, this is, because they were just listening to the heartbeat. They weren't actually looking at him.
Right.
So they put it here. And
so is that your heartbeat?
It was my fucking heartbeat. So they reassured me. And then they were like, oh, we can't find it. And then another nurse was like, that's not the baby, that's her. And I was like, okay, so where is he? And I pointed. I'm like, I know where he's at. He's down here. So then they check. And they don't hear anything, which is what I knew what was the reality. So then they gave me an actual sonogram when they're looking at him. So they're looking at him, they're quiet. It's like now, and I already know the vibe because now it's like 4 of them in here, which was pissing, again, underneath the already rising grief. So sorry. Underneath the rising grief, I was so fucking angry that there were so many people in the room. And that's the thing, they don't care about that. Like, they do not care. There will be 4 people in the room, there'll be 10 people in the room if they want. Like, you're some fucking spectacle. And that's how birth is, even when a baby is not dead. Like, you can run your birth plan, I only want 3 people in this bedroom. And there'll be 10 people when you're giving birth screaming at you to push. No matter what you said, no matter that you told people already. And when you're in the middle of pushing, you don't have fucking time to curse everyone out and tell them to get out of the damn room. You just don't have it in you. You're tired. So there was 4 people. There was like 1 man and like 3 women, and they're quiet. They're just going like this over my tummy, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're quiet. And then more people come in, and they haven't said anything to me. So now I'm not even joking. They're literally, by the time they said something to me, there was like 8 people in one room telling me that there was no heartbeat and that he died. Because the way you see it is like, it's a color. Like his heart, when it's beating, it beats a color. Like everything's kind of like black and white, but the heart beating is literally like red and blue when there's movement. So they were just trying to detect movement, and there wasn't any. So I look up, and there's 8 people telling me that my child died, and then they're telling me what happened, which was that I had women don't know this, so this is important. It doesn't really happen to many women, but it's called cholestasis. It's basically when the bile from the gallbladder, it's not being processed properly, and it happens only during pregnancy, and basically it pumps out into the blood. So the bile that's toxic pumps into the blood. So, and I had a symptom of it, I just didn't know it was a symptom, which is itchy hands and feet. Because when women are itchy during pregnancy, they just think they're swollen. You know, like when you're dehydrated in the summer, when you're dehydrated, your hands are swollen and they itch. So that's what I thought it was. But that's actually a symptom. And there's only like a 1% death rate with cholestasis, right? So like a lot of women find out they have it and it's fine and the baby is fine. But I was that 1%. So I became a doula because of this woman who was my doula. Because even during this process, right? I don't know why, but I just didn't think that she would want to be there. Like, this is death, right? And this was before I was putting birth and death in the same category. But I called her, I told her, she came, she held my hand, she was there because I had to give birth to him. I couldn't not give birth to him. Like, I also like kind of gave into grief and wanted them to just cut him out. And they were like, absolutely not. They literally told me no, which I appreciated because I needed that. Like, I needed clarity. And they were like, no, you're gonna push him out. You deserve to push him out to go through the process of birth. And that's what I did. And she was right there the whole time. And she's very spiritual. Like, she does Reiki. She's spiritual in general. This is just her energy. And I knew that. That's why I hired her. And she told me she felt like big angel energy in the room because I had to give birth to him and he was fully. So basically, like, their skin comes out a little, like, you know when you get a sunburn and you peel a little bit? That's how it looks because of the bile. It's like acidic. So he came out like that, and I just I bridged the two together because I was like, yo, birth and death are the same. Like, there's so many deaths, right? There's the death of the old you. There's the death of sometimes children. Sometimes there's the death of the mother. But on a spiritual level, they're the same. The birth and death are the same, which is why it's a cycle. It's a cyclical thing. You are born, you die. That's it, right? And I really understood that right then and there, because it was like I was the orbit in which he was birthed and died at the same time. Like, I was the gate.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get more real than being the gate of birth and death. And after that, I knew I wanted to be a doula while I was pregnant still. But after that, I was like, I need to be a doula because women need this. Like, even with all these doctors being so, that's the thing. Hospital cannot teach you emotion. They cannot teach you empathy because you are literally trained to see people as numbers. They were so weird. Like, they weren't, and I know it wasn't intentional, so I really try not to take it personal, but they were so cold and confused. Like, this is, you know, death is death. It freezes people up. Not everyone got the stomach for death, right? But my midwife came in, my replacement midwife, which was Shauna, and my doula, Felicia, and I literally, it's like they weren't there, like the other people. I just forgot about them because literally I had Shauna pushing my hair back, kissing my forehead, hugging me, talking, reminding me of my strength in whispers because I'm literally giving birth in the dark to a dead child. And then I have my doula holding my hand and doing the same thing. And I was like, this is power. They were giving me power because I thought I was gonna die. Even though physically I was healthy, but I still felt like I was gonna die. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna die. This is where I die. Like, and it was like I could feel the power flowing. And then Ray, being the mountain, he was like the mountain and they were the water. And I was there. It was really fucking crazy. Like,
I was just gonna ask, because they were on either side of you, where was Ray in the room?
Ray was behind me, being the mountain.
That just gave me chills.
He was behind me.
Wow.
Like, he was kind of like on my shoulder.
Okay.
And they were on my hands.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And it was like, in the craziest way, it was very beautiful. I felt like if it wasn't for them, and Ray feels this way as well, because obviously they're supporting me. And Ray needed support too, and they supported Ray. Like, they had a relationship with Ray, and that's another important thing. Like, your partner is supposed to be a part of the entire thing. He's not supposed to be some sideline dude. No, this is his baby. He made this with you. Hello, like, my doula loves him. They have each other's numbers, girl. Like, they're friends. And my midwife as well, like, they love him. And it was just such a loving environment where I can't imagine it had been any other way with any other people. Like, would I have gone through grief so easily if it wasn't for them? Probably not. Probably not. Because before they got there, I was feeling just dread. Like, I wanted to die. I was like, it's okay. It's okay if you kill me right now because I'm with it. For real. And they came and the vibration, everything was different. That's why when women are in the hospital, because things like this happen, right? It's not avoidable. Anyone who's like, yeah, you can get pregnant and not worry about death at all is wrong. It's not. That's not a thing. That's why it's an ancient thing. Women have been giving birth since forever, right? And this is a fact. And when this happened to me, and I finally spoke about it out loud, so many women were like, this happened to me too, but I just never talked about it. And I was like, how could you not talk about it? Like, get that shit, take it off your chest. That's not fair. You deserve to talk about it because we only want the good side of shit.
Of everything.
Of everything. We're so spoiled. Like, oh, everything just we have to always be financially stable at every part of our life. We always have to be in a beautiful environment. Listen, that's not real. That's an illusion. And that mindset cuts so many people off from happiness that, like, suffering isn't a part of it. It's the fucking main part. As you suffer, you find joy. And as you find joy, you suffer. It's literally a line.
Yeah.
A line that will never stop going.
It's the yin and the yang. There can't be one without the other.
It's a circle. Fuck a line. It's a circle, right? It's the yin and the yang. And so many women just don't feel like they can talk about that they've lost their child, that they have miscarriages. Like, some women have miscarriages, and it's not the same, but it is a loss all the same. Some women are trying to get pregnant with all their might, and they can't. They're suffering, and they don't feel like they can talk about it, because birth has to be a social media fucking joy. Look at me, mom. Look at me, a cute mom with my cute car and my cute house. That's not real. That is an illusion, and every woman should know. That woman is making a lot of money to make it seem like mothering is this easy breezy thing. It's not. And that's okay.
And, you know, just to say, like, even before social media, you know, there has been a pressure on women to not be vocal, to be silenced, and to just kind of deal with it, whatever it may be. So we are programmed to bear it all and not say a damn thing.
That's literally like the opposite spectrum.
Yeah.
Where now women think that birth is all suffering and motherhood is all suffering. Because I know my mother was that way. And I know her mother was that way.
Right.
And I know that many of our ancestors have been that way. But we have to remember that before those ancestors that thought mothering was just straight suffering, there were also women who thought mothering was full of joy and really embracing the joy. Because, right, you can't forget one. You can't. Now you're in the dark. You're in the dark. If it's all joy, you're in the dark. You're doing something wrong. If you're all suffering, you're in the dark. Like, come back to the light, baby. It's both. It can't be anything but both. And choosing before you're, like, during pregnancy is the beginning of your path as a mother. Treat it that way. Fully treat it that way, because these choices will reflect onto everything else. This is the universal, like, it's the karma. It's the what's happening now will have an effect later, period. Whether it's good or bad, it has an effect. It doesn't matter, right? So as you're pregnant, love yourself, respect energies you don't want around you. That's okay. That's not good or bad. It just is. There were many people I didn't want around me when I was pregnant, and I could not believe that. I was like, yo, I hate this person. All of a sudden, suddenly, this person, I can't. And I don't know why.
It's crazy. I feel like it's because we value ourselves differently. Even someone who is, and I hate like the negative connotation around woke, but I use it sometimes. It's like someone who is theoretically woke might put themselves through things they wouldn't put their most precious being through.
Right.
That being people and their energies. So sometimes you'll accept someone because you've been friends with them for so long, or they're a family member, or what have you, because you're like, you know, I can deal with it.
Right.
I can.
Right.
But then it comes down to this being that is voiceless, helpless for so long that you're like, yeah, that energy is just not.
Sometimes you're like, dude, it can happen with your own parents.
Yeah.
And it did. It did happen with my own parents. Like, there were parts of me that were coming up, like my inner child who was sad. She's fucking sad. She's angry. And I have no idea what's going on, because I'm just the body who her spirit is coming back out of. Like, I'm like, okay, there's like this girl in me she's sad as fuck. She's like overwhelmingly sad. She's upset. And I don't know what to do, because she only comes up around certain people. She's literally showing me. She's like, this person either reminds me or is triggering me about parts of my childhood. And that's the thing. When you have a baby, right? I feel like in maidenhood, it doesn't come up as much unless you look for it. Like, you're digging. When you have a baby, your own baby, when you were baby, she's there.
Yeah.
She's there because she never left. She's still there.
No, it's just easier to shut her up.
Yeah, because also now when you have a baby, there's this like unity of people. You unionize people, even though you're not trying to. People want to support you, which is beautiful. It's people want to be around you. People want to be around your baby. And that is when the inner child is like, I don't want to be around all these people, because when you're a maiden, that's not happening. You're not having a baby that people want to adore, you know?
Right.
It's just you.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be like, I'm never going to see that person for a year. I'm going to see that person 2 times a year and that's it. You can do that. But now you have a baby. You're like, okay, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles. And now boundaries become immovable. It's like, all right, y'all can't curse around my child. I just want to tell you guys that you cannot curse around my child. And it's so uncomfortable for me to tell you. But
to police your words,
but
right?
I want to tell you because I love you. And if you don't respect this boundary, unfortunately, I cannot. Right. That's just...
You can't and you won't. And the reasoning behind you not doing it could either be you accepting it and going along with this boundary, or you just won't see my child.
Right.
Because you're not capable.
That's it. Because at the end of the day, it's not... There are things that, you allow with yourself, and then you have a baby, and you're like, first of all, why was I allowing this with myself? Second of all, definitely not with her. Definitely not. Y'all not gonna play with me with my baby. And that's the thing. Like, this is when I was saying about earlier about how maidens get lost and they still want to be maidens. Like, I'm sorry, but no, you should not be smoking hookah.
Okay, also, like, can we just stop smoking hookah, like, period, general, like, for ourselves?
Forever. Can we not ever? Can we please stop vaping, guys? Please, for the love of God. Like, I've seen, I'm Spanish, right? I'm Puerto Rican and my man's Dominican. Cool. So we got both sides of the silliness, right? Because I love my people, but I know my people, and that's just a fact. And it's not appropriate to drink in front of your kid. I don't care what you say. It's not a debate. When your kid is, when they're infants, sure. If they're asleep in another room, cool. Like, why would you want to be drinking in front of your kid? Your kid's processing that shit. You think your kid is stupid? You think your kid has no consciousness?
No.
They're the most purest of absorption that they're ever going to be. Like Irie, she's so funny. Anytime I'm upset, right, or I talk to her in a tone, she will repeat that tone back to me and I will hear it through her. And I'll be like, that's how I just spoke to you? Okay, noted. That must change, you know? That's with words. Imagine with sight.
I always knew when my mom was inebriated.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying.
Like, it's so funny because my mom will come home, and to this day I'll be like, "Did you have a drink?" And she's like, "Yeah, I just won. Why?" I was inside you. I've known you my whole life.
There is an invisible line.
Like, I can tell when you are... It's so funny. I had a speaking engagement the other day. I was hosting an event, and she was front row, and she was texting someone, and she wasn't recording me. Obviously, like...
You were like, okay, mom, shake.
Right.
Okay.
But I told her who exactly she was texting because I know her face and why she was distracted. I was like, you were texting this person, weren't you? And she was like, you know what? Just because you said that, I want to look at the timestamps. I was like, check 6 o'clock who you were texting. It was that person. And she was like...
Dude,
like, I know why you're distracted. I know why you're not paying attention to me right now. I've known that since I was 5, 6 years old, and I know it today.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I have memories from when I was 5 or 6, and they're not good.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Like, we forget that trauma is it's not just a word that we're like, haha, trauma. No, dead ass. Trauma. What does trauma mean, bro? You are stunned. Your body is shocked. Your nervous system is like, what the fuck is going on? And that is why you remember it. Your body's like,
yeah.
What? And then you freeze or you run.
Yeah.
Or you fight or flight, you know?
Yeah.
But it doesn't go, right?
Yeah. So
this is why with my daughter, I'm so fucking careful. Because I'm like, people literally invite us to bars and ask us to bring Irie. That's a real thing. And I'm
no, yeah. I've actually seen this like trend of like women on TikTok who's like, and again, no tea, no shade. I'm not a mother, so I cannot pass judgment. Even other mothers shouldn't pass judgment. I don't know. We don't know your life.
I don't know your life.
But like, she's just one of the girls trend where I see toddlers at brunch, like at literal, like.
Where everyone's drinking mimosas.
Everyone's drinking mimosas. Or like at like, oh my God, I'm trying to find the politically correct word. A drag brunch.
No.
Toddlers at a drag
For
brunch.
what?
I'm not saying the community's bad. I'm not saying that your child will then in turn be a drag queen one day. No, I'm just saying like Shania Twain, popping pussy, drag queens, clanking mimosas. Like, this is not the place.
It's not kidding, but bro, it's like, yo, okay, this is why discernment is so important. Use your discernment. Is this a place for a child? Yes or no? That's it. It's very simple. We make things too fucking complicated.
Right. If I'm going to piss off another adult because my child is here, it's probably not this setting.
No. If there's a possibility at all that an adult is gonna get mad at your child, it's not the setting. Like it's no. Like, and that's the thing. It's about sacrifice. You are a mother. Get used to it. Get used to it and understand that it's not a bad thing. Sacrifice is not negative or positive. It is a word and it means a thing, right? That's it.
You took this responsibility on, so then you give back.
You give back.
And that's sacrifice.
Until you must, because guess what? Your baby's not going to be this little forever.
No.
My daughter is already 2, bro. I can't even process that in my brain. I'd be looking at her like, wait, how?
But quite frankly, like, yes and no. Like, I still depend on my mother so heavily. Even when we weren't living together, we talked to each other on a daily basis.
Me too, my mom. Yep. Exactly.
So, like, yeah, technically you might get them out of the house between the ages of 18 and, 28, depending on some cultures. But that's still your child out in this world. Like,
that child's always when that child needs protection, until that child either, like, literally builds their own family.
Right.
And even then, I have my own family. Y'all think I don't call my mom?
Right.
That's funny. Mom, okay, what the fuck? Like, I'm upset, I'm angry, and like, I vent. Like, that's what she's there for.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy because the sacrifice, right, it just changes. Like, you're mothering. In the beginning, you are a postpartum mother. You're a mother of an infant. This child needs you consistently all the time. Now, it's like, no fucking shade, guys. Seriously. A hospital birth, right, coexists with formula, coexists with being attached to the maiden, coexists with throwing your kids at a babysitter the first chance you get. It's a line. That is a line. And it just keeps going until you fucking put the wall up.
Right.
No. Because giving away your power begins with pregnancy, right? You're pregnant. How are you being treated? Do you care? How are you putting your money? Where are you putting your money? So are you going to put your money into getting a doula? Are you going to put your money into getting a midwife? Or are you going to put your money into a baby shower? Like, for people who can't have both.
Right.
Because I couldn't have both. Straight up. I was like, nah. Midwife.
Yeah.
Duh. This is common sense.
Months of help and support, a party for one day.
Months and months of help and support up until your baby is born and after. So that's almost a year of support if you hire them right away. And the doula is the same. Doulas support you after too. If you pay them to support you through postpartum, to cook for you, they're there. Those women are there that be in your crib doing your laundry for you.
So you can do the important stuff that they can't do because they're not the mother.
Right.
And they shouldn't do because they're not the mother.
Right. Like, dude, it's just so important. It's so important. Like, it begins when you're pregnant. Take that responsibility and love it. Love it. This is your life. The same with everything else. But now it's not just your life. It's also your baby. This is more. It's double, right? Like, when you're pregnant and you want to spend your money on silly shit, really think about it. There are things that deserve your money. Money is energy. Where energy goes, right? Where money goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows. Are you really going to focus on this baby shower so much, spend $5,000 on it, instead of getting a midwife and a doula? Are you going to do that? This is your choice. This is what I'm saying. Choices begin when you are pregnant. Then the pattern is that now you don't want to hire a midwife because you have other things to pay for that are insignificant, quite literally, to this immense help, right? Then you're choosing to birth in a hospital and not realizing what that means because all this time that you were planning a baby shower, right? And that's the thing, baby showers don't have to be extravagant. You can do a makeshift baby shower. You can do a party in your house. People don't care. They're coming to celebrate you and your baby. That's it. You can do it however you want. And I'm not shaming baby showers. It's just the prime example because it's the biggest expense during pregnancy, as well as the crib and all these things. Those are things you actually need. But your baby's nursery does not need to be perfect. I promise you. And your baby won't give a fuck. Your baby's going to be like, where is your titty? I need food. Like for months and months and months. That's all they're going to care about. And that should give you some ease that there's no rush to build your child the perfect room and the perfect home environment. There's no rush. You have all the time. Your baby will grow with you.
So I think people can kind of gauge when I have like a friend on or when I have someone that I have a business relationship with on, or someone I'm just meeting for the first time, because that does happen too, where the first time I'm meeting you is the podcast.
Oh, cool.
But I didn't even tell you guys her name.
That's how you know.
That's how you know.
Like, yeah, you guys know her, right?
Right? Okay, cool. Because anyway. Yes, this is Elyse. She actually, which is so special, she shares a name with my mom, and that's not a common name. I don't know where you live, but it is not a common name. The only other Elyse that I've met is my youngest sister's mother.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So
how do they spell it? E-L-I?
My mom spells it, and they both spell it E-L-I-S-E.
I spell it with a Y.
And my mom changed her name to Elyse. Her, name when she was born was Elyse. So same spelling, just E to A. And so my family still calls her Lisa. She's like, my name was never Lisa, so I hate that. I don't know why y'all call me that.
That was actually not my name.
That was never my name.
That's hilarious.
But it's so funny because so serendipitously,
that sounds accurate.
Yeah. We met at the mall, and I always say, like, there's no coincidences. Like, everything happens for a reason, whether you were supposed to be my friend or not.
Right.
Everything happens for a reason. I think what's so special and kind of ties me back to today before Irie left is that she came up to me at the mall.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, we're like still kind of in COVID. I don't want to touch this baby, but she's coming near me. Like she's coming to me.
She pulled up on you, 100%, as like a 7 or 8 month baby.
Right, She was walking up to me, and I was like, oh hi.
Yes.
Trying to be so respectful. But yeah, we met at the mall. You had just moved from the city, which is so funny because all of my friends that I feel like are super close to me were all from New York and came here. Yes. Like, we're not from here.
We migrated.
Yeah. So, after that, we just kind of like kept in touch. And
it was hard. Remember?
It was hard.
Because she was so small. So it was like she took a lot of focus. And energy.
And so I'm always that friend that like when the time is right, the time is right. And like we'll finally set it up.
I appreciated that too because as a mom, it's hard.
Even with my single friends.
Yes.
Even with my friends who have boyfriends. Even with my friends who have dogs and cats.
So sweet.
Because, hello, I want the same respect. So I'm like, I'm always like...
Like, don't diss me, girl. we gonna be tight.
Yes.
You're gonna see. Yes. I love that.
So, yes, I'm so thankful for this friendship. I'm so thankful for your insight. We're definitely like, we're going to go to brunch. I'm going to be like, okay, let's look at the calendar. We need a part 2. Because like the list... I think we might have organically hit 2 or 3. That's what I think. Yeah. But there's so much to talk about.
There's so much.
There's
Birth is so
much to
extensive.
talk about. And I feel like a lot of the themes that we're even talking about resonate to me as a person who's just trying to get closer to self.
Yeah.
It's like all of the things you were saying were resonating with me in a way of just in the way of life.
Yeah.
Right? So to like
that's it.
not go
Birth is
against
life.
it's
Yeah.
just it makes so much sense even in me as a single woman who is not planning to have a child anytime soon.
Right.
And we'll talk about this at brunch, but we don't want to be late, ladies and gentlemen.
We appreciate.
We love you so much. I will
Yes.
leave everything and anything in terms of contact if you want to work with or you just have a question. Please.
I offer childbirth ed too.
Yeah.
Because some people, again, I get people's financial situations.
Right.
So childbirth ed is like 3 hours, and you really get to.
It's like crash course
Yeah, exactly.
kind of
It's
situation.
Childbirth ed. Doula is more support, but
Yeah. Whatever.
I'm open.
Whatever you can afford. So
I also love women, duh.
Yeah.
So I'm like, duh, be my friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So part 2 is definitely coming. Like not even a question. Like we have too much to talk about. But we're gonna now enjoy some off-camera time together.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. We're going to a new place that I haven't tried that I was recommended. And yeah, I love you so much.
I love you.
And thank you for being here. And I know they were thankful that you were here today.
I appreciate that, guys.
I'm speaking for them because I know.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm excited to eat.
Yes. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Perfect.
Love it.